What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 60 of my Total Warhammer 3 Ikit Claw Immortal Empires campaign. So as we saw last time, some tough ambushes in the form of Metables fight as well as Cypresses saw us victorious but saw both armies damaged. Fortunately, Karak Norn has been taken care of completely, and it looks like we're about one turn away, or rather one episode away, from being able to end this endless turn and that we've been on forever. In addition to that, you guys have been reminding me to build that second nuke for when the turn ends and presumably Mutant runs into an absolutely horrific situation that I'm not entirely sure he can get out of, but everybody seems to want him to be somehow kept alive, so I'll do my best. We'll see. We'll see if he's the last rat standing. Now, in terms of what we gotta do this episode, we got Cypress to probably try to attack a Groth Coral Seeker. Now, we could head back to Karak Hearn, but the problem is if we do, A, we'd be in March stance, so we wouldn't be able to intercept. B, I'm not entirely sure that this AI is actually programmed to move out of where it currently is, so it could very well simply attack Steingart or Fort Saul or Wissenberg or something that isn't very well defended. So at the very least, we're actually probably better off even sacrificing Cypress's army to fight this, just to damage this army enough so that it can't do anything else. As I understand it, these armies can't recover from what they've got, so this is our best bet. So Cypress, it's on you, buddy. You're very badly hurt. If we can get an ambush here, and this is your only movement, but oh, thank you. If that hadn't been an ambush, it would have been a lot more difficult. But at least we managed to pull that one off. Well done, Cypress. You are going to still have to destroy all those artillery pieces, but you've been fairly decent at that so far. Ooh, 3 Ironbreakers units this time around as well. Pretty scary. Let's see if we can survive with our army damaged as it currently is. Alrighty, here goes Cypress again. Let's see if his now very badly damaged army, or at least damaged army, maybe not very badly, but he barely had a front line in the first place, and now we have badly hurt clan rats up there and Skaven slave spears. Anyway, we are facing off against an army that is primarily ranged. If you count the artillery, they basically have 3/4 of their army, 14 or 15 units that are all ranged or artillery. I don't know if this is a bad thing or a good thing in this particular situation. On the one hand, we can't deploy immediately out there and kill them, as we would with other armies, as in tie them up and prevent them from firing. On the other hand, we have a major weakness to enemy melee in this particular army, because this army is trash. So, we'll see. Anyway, we obviously start off on the enemy artillery in between our own arty and that of the shots from the Jezzails. Theirs go down. We also have finally a use for our Howling Warp Gale, which Cypress hasn't had a chance to use a lot, so those poor gyrocopters are going to get focused down, both by Jezzails. Wow, one volley. Damn, Jezzails, you scary. Alrighty, well, it looks like the enemy is also firing back into us. I think that was actually a shot from a flame cannon. Yeah, that looked pretty painful. Half of that clan rat unit got instantly destroyed. Enemies moving forward with some slayers, though they are going to take some hits from our poison wind globadiers. But yeah, looks like the flame cannons are still operational. Not for long, however, as the death runners are now moving in and will hopefully silence them. Unfortunately, we needed to switch our ranged units to attack something else other than the artillery for a little bit, as the enemy army is drawing closer. Specifically, also, the enemy Thunderers and Quarrelers and whatnot have moved in a sort of a column formation towards us. It looks cool when they're firing, certainly, but it's not a good idea to be like this when there are catapults firing at you, as obviously, and they can fire along the entire line. And of course, the Ironbreakers are getting focused down as well. Alright, Jezzail's helping out. We really gotta start taking out those ranged units. The catapults can, of course, focus on the Thunderers and the Quarrelers and Rangers, whereas we definitely need our Jezzails to focus down things like Iron Drakes. with troll hammer torpedoes and the regular types with the flamethrowers. Fortunately, that unit got basically insta-deleted when focused down by several units of Jezzails. The balance of power is now about even, which is great, but unfortunately the enemy melee have reached our own melee lines. First unit of Clan Rats is basically dead and is actually moving forward to try to prevent those Iron Breakers from chucking their satchel charges. And we do still have 2 units in reserve. Cypress can't help because he's extremely badly damaged. Looks like this unit of Clan Rats is about to rout, so we'll see. Oh, and they're going to chuck their satchel charges in order to kill our own units, even though that would probably badly damage the enemy slayers as well. Interesting, dwarfs, interesting. That's something I would expect from the Dowie Tsar, and not the regular Dowie. Alrighty, man, one of the things I really like about this map, other than the fact that the advantage this massive hill gives us, is all of these whizzing bullets going up high in the sky, essentially, because we have a massive increase in elevation, so the stuff that... the shots that come from our side fly over the shots that come from the enemy side, and it's a lot of very nice back and forth. This would be a really nice map to have an all-ranged army, like an Ikit sort of army. Or a charge lock sort of army as well. Although that's more of a flamethrower thing, but nonetheless. Alrighty, well, a warp bomb coming down, so those Slayer units should be dead, and we are now going to be committing our second unit of Death Runners, the one that we've held in reserve, rather than keeping back. Obviously, this previous battle hurt this army sufficiently that the Death Runners need to be able to act in melee to distract the enemy. Otherwise, it's pretty hectic up in here. Enemy charge locks, satchel charges, I hope no enemy charge locks, being chucked. Obviously, our Poison Wind Globadiers are doing their best to focus down the Iron Breakers, and in fact, it looks like that Poison Wind Globadier unit has basically killed several units of Iron Breakers here. It's been only focusing them, basically, and it's got 112 kills, which is pretty darn good. And plus, the combination of them, as well as the catapults, are doing a number on them. Our first unit of Death Runners have also silenced those catapults and is now going after a unit of Rangers, which appear to be running. And in fact, I think the rest of the army is about ready to go as well. Of course, we still have to kill the remnants of those giant slayers. I still think that there might be some fighting up. There's a few down here, 28 in fact. But we should be able to take them out between the slingers and the Jezzails. Man, the Gutter Runner slingers are really not very good, are they? I mean, especially when not buffed up by somebody like Deathmaster Snitch. And once again, this is the non-poison variety. The good thing about that unit is the fact that they have poison. And I guess stock as well is helpful, but they're still slingers at the end of the day. Alrighty, well, with that, the battle is ours. Looks like very... This Gutter Runner Slinger unit is nearly done for. A lot of our Clan Rats and Skaven Slave Spears are also bad. Clan Rat Spears here just running off the map. We got another unit of Clan Rat Spears that have a sliver of HP remaining. But on the bright side, it looks like we've won. Alrighty, well, take out the rest of those units. Actually, those Jezzails will probably take out a few Clan Rats as they shoot. Yeah, it does look like one shot killed both a dwarf and a Clan Rat there. So I guess Clan Rat hits can, or not Clan Rat hits, Jezzail hits can go through units and hit more than one, by the looks of it? Or is it when it passes through your own unit, the bullet doesn't get some? No, that's not the way it works. I guess it can hit more units than one. Anyway, we can speed up the rest of this battle as we have it. I'm glad we were able to hold off though, but damn. It could have definitely gotten a lot more dicey. Another heroic victory as well for Cypress, who's been a champ holding on all this time with the worst army that we have. Alright, you know, I was pleasantly surprised with that one. All we lost was a single unit of Skaven slave spears. We took about a little over a third of our army losses, but the entire enemy stack was destroyed. And that was a high veterancy, high-level dwarf stack against, frankly, a pretty garbage army. And, yeah, well done. Well done to you, Cyprus. Got some food, got some money. We'll heal up because there's still a little tiny pile of slayers that we need to slay. But it looks like Carrick Hearn is also now out of the picture. Lovely. Now they're down to one. I guess we get that Skaven slave spear unit back as well. Hopefully recruiting doesn't interrupt our ability to intercept armies, as I imagine these guys are gonna run away or go raid or something, though I doubt that they can take anything at this point. And these two armies are now safe to, I guess, help out with creating a new front line there. No new warp fuel out of that, unfortunately, but once again, what can you do? Now that that's done, we've got 2 battles to go with Garth and 1 battle to go with Queek. Well, if Garth has 2, I guess we do Garth first and then Queek second, because we can separate these. Plus, Garth still has movement points, so if he fails in his ambush, we'll still have Queek to do his thing. What do you have, incidentally? A gyrocopter and a gyro bomber, and we don't have any answer to it, do we? What would we do against those? They'd just be floating up in the sky, hurting our catapults, and we couldn't do a thing. Well, I guess we'll find out, because, well, we don't have much of a choice. And we got no ambush here. Alrighty, well, I guess we'll back off then. How much more movement points do we have? Nearly down to half, so I think we could do that 2 more times. If it fails, what we'll do is we'll directly attack one of these armies and maybe back off as well. Now, this army might be easier because the organ guns are outranged by the plague claws, and we do have a fair few plague claws there. We'll see. Now I guess we're switching to Queek. Queek, how much movement points do you have remaining? Probably at least 2 attempts of this, yeah, so try. And there you go, Queek, well done, another ambush for you. Queek been surprisingly effective at actually getting ambushes, and I guess we're going to... yeah, we shouldn't have too much problems with this. They have way too many artillery pieces, which would normally be good for them, but if we commit pretty much right away, we could basically tie them all up. Don't even bother outranging them, especially since this is the last army. We could actually commit our storm vermin to the fight immediately, and just gotta watch out for the iron breakers and the iron drakes, damaging them a lot. But we could tie those up as well. Anyway, here we go, another cinematic. Alrighty, time for another Queakening, but this time it looks like we've got a completely different ambush map. I am shocked. After that other map that we got so many times, I'm shocked that a different one even exists in these mountain territories. Kind of weird that we always got the other one when it was possible to get this one, or maybe because we moved far enough away from our settlement and the mountain passes, that's what changed. Anyway, in addition to the fact that this is a different map, it's a pretty different army for Queek, as we're facing off against 7 artillery pieces. Of course, in ambush, this is a terrible thing to have, as these storm vermin are immediately going to hit all those artillery pieces and range units and prevent them from firing. Otherwise, the deployment is such that our catapults are over this hill, and they're all going to try to focus down the iron breakers. Queek's going to go for the enemy lord, and the clan rats are going to be charging the enemy elites, as in their melee. Their slayers, their longbeards, their hammerers, they will all be distracted by the clan rats. Why the clan rats and not the storm vermin? Because the catapults up here, once they're done with that unit of iron breakers, are all going to start working on the enemy melee here. This is why we've deployed our melee on this side rather than on this side, and our catapults up here, so that they can fire into the back of those units. Of course, this will mean a lot of splash damage coming into our own units, of course, but the units that are hurt by it will primarily be clan rats, and not our storm vermin. So hopefully this all works out. Also, those are some nice shots of the of the iron breakers. There's so much of the plague claw effect everywhere that you can't even see. Pretty horrifying. Although I'd like to see how much damage that one volley did. Basically killed the unit. They are wavering, and another volley will be able to take it out. Beautiful. Skaven Slave Slingers are, however, going to move in to make sure that these guys don't chuck any satchel charges into our clan rats. Queek has found the enemy lord and will be working on him with that dwarf gouger, and all of the enemy artillery are now tied up by our storm vermin, so they will not get another shot off, or a single shot off. And neither will the enemy. Oh, I lied. One of the organ guns managed to fire. Oh well. And of course our chieftains are in here too, helping out against the Iron Drakes and other ranged units. Alrighty, well, our Plague Claws have begun firing. A few of those shots definitely landing a little bit too close to our clan rats, but that's okay because it looks like the majority of them is hitting the back lines of the enemy melee troops. So this one's working out. Ooh, yeah, poor clan rats. That was a hole right in the middle of your formation. But oh well, what can you do? And look at this. We have an effect going down that we don't get to see a lot. That is the Flensing Ruin, due to the lightning everywhere. But that is being used to reduce the armor on all of these units. In addition to the spell resistance, that's probably quite good. And Queek has nearly killed the enemy lord already. Quite quick, I should say. Only 1 minute into the battle so far. Almost all the enemy units are dead, or the enemy melee units are dead. And the enemy lord's about to fall. And away you go. Alrighty, well done on knocking him off that thing. And it looks like most of the enemy melee units are going to rout, but the Slayers, of course, as usual, will stick around. Queek's gonna help out with them, and a Warp Lightning in the middle of their formation will deplete their numbers. Otherwise, it looks like the Storm Vermin have completely overwhelmed the enemy artillery and have been left pretty much completely unharmed this battle. Lovely. So if we were to have to use this army again, we'd still have all of our storm vermin at full HP, which I can appreciate. Plus, you know, there's no reason to damage them with our own artillery pieces. I think this one worked out very, very nicely. We did certainly get some losses, mostly probably due to friendly fire. Although I'm sure that these Giant Slayers killed some units. 65, not bad. Though, of course, those are only clan rats and Skaven slaves, but still. And Queek's in here. Maybe he could kill a few of them. Nope, he'll just kill a few of his own clan rats. They were in his way, they had to die. There you go, buddy. I do wish that the Skaven ambush maps weren't this dark, as in the Skaven corruption makes them really difficult to see anything at. I would imagine there would mostly be Skaven corruption underground, that it wouldn't really change the landscape to this degree, you know? Like, if the landscape everywhere was constantly changed by the presence of the Under Empire and Skaven corruption, I'm pretty sure that everyone would know that the Skaven were real all along. So, yeah. Seems a little bit overtuned. Don't get me wrong, I really love the way it looks up in the sky and stuff, especially with all of the warpstone stuff that the Skaven have, being color coordinated with the map, but it is difficult to see some units. Anyway, another victory for Queek. We're gonna speed up the rest of this as there's nothing else. Oh wait, actually, there's a couple of Slayers back here. I guess we can watch them overwhelmed and killed as well. There we go, down to 2, down to 1. Oh my lord. Oh man, the last one Plague Claw catapult decided that no, it wants to get the last kill, and it killed a bunch of our own clan rats here, as well as that unit. But not a big deal. Once again, these were just the clan rats that we were hitting with our own artillery for the entire battle anyway. Alright, now we can speed it up. I wasn't expecting that. A little, I thought there would be a little structure up here. A close victory? I really doubt that, though. I really doubt that. I don't think our Storm Vermin were hurt at all, so if we needed to commit them, we still had plenty of units that the enemy had to work through. It's not like we're not supposed to use our clan rats pretty sacrificially, after all. Alright, nicely done to Queek. Another skull to add to his collection from that dwarf lord as well. And let's see, a quarter of our army losses with pretty much all clan rats and Skaven slave spears, as we did commit them to where they would be hit by artillery fire in addition to the enemy. And that worked out pretty well because our storm vermin remain at full HP. I guess we don't technically actually need to heal anymore. Because those, well, then again, we may need to move up north quite quickly. You know what, fine, just eat the captives, just in case. We may need to jump and then jump to Carrick Drawn, depending on how the Karazkarak dwarfs deal with stuff, but we can leave these guys to their own devices as they are no longer strong enough to take anything. Well, actually, maybe this little army could take Black Iron Mine. I do have to wonder. These are giant slayers and they would fight to the death, they're unbreakable, so if they attacked, maybe. But you would be unable to do anything. Alrighty, well done to Queek. Who else do we have to move here? Alright, Corporal. Corporal still hasn't gotten a fight. Man, it feels so weird to be on one turn for so long, but yeah, Corporal's gonna get to plenty of fights. He's honestly in just as bad of a position as Mutant is in right now, so, you know. It's inevitable that there will be losses. I sort of consider this turn to be the turn that we get to the aggression, and then it turns to them, and then they'll be able to aggress as well. Now, Garth, you're the only one who still has fights that we're able to take this turn, so try one more time on that ambush. And no dice. Well then. Okay, retreat one more time. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna attack the other army first, because I'd rather the organ guns be closer than the great cannons, because they'll be able to fire back immediately. Alright, here we go. Not much of a choice. And oh! Okay, that time we actually did get an ambush, but we'll be stuck without being able to move for the next army, but that's fine, I suppose. We'll be able to commit pretty much this entire force to the second fight. Plus, we have a lot of Plague Claws, so we should be able to do some damage even if the enemy is firing back at us, and even if we can't do anything about those gyrocopters at all. They'll have to land when the rest of the army is done anyway. Got a lot of ammunition due to that veterancy, though, damn. Or whatever stat upgrade these guys get. Well, it looks like another ambush. Here we go again. Alrighty, Garth's army. This should be pretty interesting. After Cyprus, Garth is our second weakest army, and it is also a pretty bad matchup against the dwarfs in general. It does have the advantage of having the massive amount of Plague Claws, but of course the Plague Monks are quite fragile. They're damage dealers and they're fragile damage dealers at that, and they lack armor piercing. So they're really not very good against dwarven armies in particular. So if our melee units have to fight, it's not gonna go so great for them. Yeah. I'd almost hazard to say that clan rats might be better at this, I'm not entirely sure. Not better than the Censor Bearers, of course, but the regular Plague Monks, yeah, they'll deal more damage, but are they as survivable? I guess they do have a lot more leadership, if nothing else. But anyway, hopefully that won't matter too much, as we do have a lot of Plague Claws to do the work for us. Now, since we have enough this time, we've got 4 firing on the enemy artillery pieces, while the rest of them fire on the enemy Iron Breakers and other melee elite units. Hopefully we can bring them down, though once again we have absolutely nothing we could do to those gyrocopters whatsoever. I would be curious to see how much damage a Plague Claw can deal to them, but obviously not a high priority. The Plague Claws need to kill something else. Also, I have noticed that, remember in the, first couple of episodes of this ambush, the enemy used to really like running away rather than immediately trying to get into the fight, but I have noticed that when we've been fighting with our weaker armies, with Cyprus, with Garth, and with Metable in particular, the enemy armies actually have a tendency not to immediately run towards the edge of the field, but to directly charge us, which is interesting. So I guess the AI's behavior does seem, unless this is a huge coincidence, to depend on whether it thinks that it has a good chance against the particular army. Which is why we've constantly been getting heroic victories with Cyprus, if nothing else. Yeah, because they always run for Queek, they always run for Ikit, they don't even bother. Alrighty, well, it looks like our bombardment is paying off to some degree. The enemy army is pretty beat up, that is a fact, but they are getting closer. It looks like their ranged units are, well, enranged, and all of them are going to be trying to focus down the massive barn of a target, our Grey Seer, on his Screaming Bell. Oh, that's a nice shot with the Plague Claws overhead. But yeah, very, very dangerous position for you to be in, my friend. You probably wish you weren't so tall over those Plague Monks there, and they're not even going to try to go for the Plague Monks. They're all gonna go for poor Garth there. Oh, and we are going to charge in with our Razor Gore chariot. These are Tuskor. No, these are Razor Gores. Razor Gore chariots into the enemy formation here, and they are going to take a few hits from the satchel charges and the Iron Drakes before they do. Hopefully that's not enough to kill any of the chariots. Mostly we just want to distract the enemy long enough for them to take a couple more hits from our artillery and from our spells here. And then of course we can back off. The Thunderers continue to thunder and fire down, or fire up, I guess, on our Screaming Bell there, but fortunately the ranged units are pretty badly beat up now. Our chariots did also take a beating as they charged in, being lowered to half HP, or at least the Razor Gores being lowered to half HP, but we can immediately get them out, and not a model has been destroyed, so they will heal to full after this battle. And the other two chariots, the Tuskors, the much weaker chariots, are standing back here, and they're just simply tying up the enemy organ guns and other artillery together with some Menace Below clan rats in order to make sure that they don't fire back on our artillery pieces. And the gyrocopters continue being a menace, and it looks like the Slayers and other units have started to move in, and we're going to have to fight some of this in melee. Plague Monks against Slayers, I would be interested to see how that matchup goes. I would give it to the Slayers most likely, but especially with high veterancy and stuff. But of course both units are liable to damage each other pretty darn heavily. Ooh, and a bunch of satchel charges actually managing to hit our Plague Monks as they charge in. Unfortunately, it looks like the Clan Rats failed to tie up the enemy Iron Breakers before they got that volley off. Though on the bright side, it only did maybe a third HP to the unit of Plague Monks here. Most likely because the unit of Iron Breakers was already pretty heavily damaged, so they had fewer satchel charges to chuck. Looks like the Slayers are also in fairly bad shape as well, but they have done a decent amount of damage to one of our Plague Monks units, though of course they do have the support of their lord. Otherwise, the enemy backline is pretty much in shambles at this point. All the enemy ranged units have pretty much been tied up or are in the process of being tied up, like those Trollhammer torpedoes. Garth here has taken quite a bit of damage, but he does have the Scalm to heal him up at least a little bit. And we just have to be careful about not killing our own units with our Plague Claws. We also have the Tuskor chariots just chasing around the remnants of those artillery pieces, and any melee units that are chasing them can simply be bombarded with our Plague Claws. It's not like our Plague Claws have too many more enemy units to choose to bombard, because now that our Plague Monks are engaged, the Plague Claws can't fire on whoever they want. On the bright side, it looks like this army is just about done. There's a few units remaining, but there's also a decent amount of units wavering, and with that, I do believe the army shatters. Lovely. Let's see how well the Plague Monks can chase as they try to get a few of these Iron Breakers. Looks like they're doing a pretty good job stabbing them in the back. Oh, I like their frenzied little attacks where they just go in swinging with both their weapons a bunch of times. Yeah, like that. Oh, I never noticed that. Like I guess frenzied is appropriate for them to have as a stat. Or a trade, whatever. Nice. And the Slayers, with 4 of them remaining, are chasing off the unit of Plague Monks that's by far the most damaged, but we summon a unit of Clan Rats right in their faces, and then we surround and kill the rest. Damn that death blow. Alrighty, and with that, the battle is surely over. We certainly took some damage here. Several of our Plague Monks units are very badly beat up, especially the ones that fought the Slayers and the Ironbreakers. This one's at maybe 15 to 20% HP. This one's at a sliver. This one's at half. And the others are all at about 60% even. The chariots also got hurt, but they didn't lose any models, so that at least it doesn't matter. The army should be destroyed, but the question is, will we be able to heal enough after this battle to continue to fight? Because Garth has one more battle that he has to get to complete the destruction of the minor clans, but I guess we'll see. Alrighty, we can speed up the rest of this as well. We got one more battle, and it's going to be pretty tough if we can't heal everybody up. Well, Plague Claw catapults are not very effective at killing enemy lords. Go figure. Alright, well, we didn't come out of that unscathed, and we will be able to heal up, but only to some degree. Obviously not as much as we'd like. Plus, our Lord remains at half HP due to being targeted by those Thunderers and Trollhammer torpedoes and those damn gyrocopters. They wouldn't leave us alone, and there wasn't really anything we could do about them. Oh well. Let's eat those captives. And let's see, I hope this army moves away. Oh, where are you going? Oh, interesting. Okay. Okay, wait. Oh no, oh you idiots. They moved close to our settlement, so even if we fail to ambush, which I guess would matter because we can't run away anymore, we draw out the garrison to help out. Oh. It's not an amazing garrison, but it's plenty of troops to stand in front of our battle lines and take hits while the Plague Claw catapults do their thing. Well, Garth, you got one more try. We're still gonna give you 2 points in Ancient Cunning, because an ambush would still probably be superior. But this is the last move you have, so give it a try, man. And win or lose, I don't think it's gonna matter all that much anymore, because these guys will be hurt enough so as to not be viable either. Now, we're obviously running out of time, but since this is the very last fight of turn 78, we're gonna do it right now. Don't be surprised if this episode comes out a little late, because editing 4 cinematic battles in one episode is just insane, and it's gonna take me forever. I dread it, but hey. Hopefully it's worth a while. And we did not get an ambush, but we'll have, well, I guess the turn will be ended with an actual field battle. It should be an interesting time. Here we go. And this will be a pretty fun ending to this particular turn. Alright, here we go. I can't believe it. It's a field battle. Look at how bright this map is. We can see everything, and we like to see everything, Slaneshi Giggle. We are facing off against an army that's actually surprisingly elite that I failed to notice. They have 3 units of Giant Slayers. I don't think we faced off against this many of Giant Slayers before, plus 4 units of Ironbreakers on top of that, and that's pretty darn nice. And some regular Slayers and other elites as well. So even though we do have the garrison coming in, this is probably going to actually take some effort. Now in terms of the deployment, since it's a little bit different, since it's actually a field battle, it isn't too much different, mind you. We do have the chariots deployed all the way outside here, and they're not hiding like in the ambush battles. They are not going to be trying to go after the artillery pieces, because that will be the purview of our own artillery to knock them down. Rather, the goal of the chariots is going to be to try to move around the enemy army and either distract as many units as possible, which the AI generally does fall for, or afterwards essentially charge into any ranged units that remain, or the back lines of any other units. We'll see how many we need. We've also obviously deployed to this side of the map because it's reasonably close on our deployment side to the reinforcements that are coming in. If we had deployed over on this side, it probably would have taken too long for our reinforcements to reach our lines. Anyway, that's about it. We are going to once again start off on the enemy artillery pieces. Let's see if we can knock them out before they fire. Looks like they're moving slightly back from us. I do wonder why, though. Slightly curious. Not that that isn't great for our Plague Claws. Oh, maybe they're trying to move out of range of the Plague Claws? If that's the case, then they're going to fail. Plus, we do out-artillery them pretty considerably, so their own artillery should be done for fairly shortly. It also might be that the enemy army is actually deploying in such a way that it can meet both our own army as well as the reinforcements in battle. I'm pretty sure the AI is aware of where reinforcements arrive. At least I think it is. I've certainly seen it deployed suspiciously in such a way that it knows, but it could have also been coincidences. Alrighty, well with that, the enemy artillery pieces, while not dead, will probably only need a few more hits, and now we can switch most of our own artillery to actually hitting other units and not having an artillery duel, quote-unquote. Not so much a duel because the enemy hasn't fired back, but that's fine. And it looks like the enemy has decided that it will get angry and charge us instead, so that'll limit the amount of bombardment we can do. I know that this isn't on purpose, but the AI is actually doing a pretty good job using the shadow of this forest to A, hide its units, but B, prevent our artillery from firing on it. I would have done the exact same thing, so gotta give credit where it's due to the AI. And we got 13 seconds left, the Skaven holy number, until our reinforcements arrive on the field, and they'll be able to hit the enemy in the side by the looks of it. We've also seemingly managed to distract 3 units, a Giant Slayer, an Iron Breaker, and the Gyro Bomber, with our units of chariots, which is very, very worth it in my mind. Cost-wise, these 3 units are probably a lot more expensive than our chariots, and, well, for us they're free, but I mean, considering how much those units compared to chariots usually cost. So well done. Ooh, and the cannons have finally fired back. Though probably not for long. A menace below comes up out of the ground and goes after the cannons that are still able to fire, whereas the other unit is done. Of course, the menace below clan rats will be destroyed by the thunderers who have sighted them, but what the heck do we care? Now our reinforcements are on the field as well, and there's a lot of clan rats. They're led by a single unit of storm vermin, but now we can simply overwhelm the enemy as long as we can actually catch them and get to their the battle lines. The dwarfs are coming out of the woods now and are going to be charging us. Let's see what we can do. They're getting a little bit too close, so unfortunately our Plague Claws will reasonably soon no longer be effective. We can stop the enemy charging a little bit by putting a Warp Lightning in front of them and forcing them to back off, allowing us at least another volley or two. But it looks like the Plague Monks are going to have to be committed to the fight. And Giant Slayers versus Plague Monks here. Gotta give this one to the Giant Slayers, but we do have more Plague Monks. The ones that were hurt from the previous battle, and I did forget to mention this. Our front line is made up of the unhurt units of Plague Monks, whereas the ones that are still damaged from last time are moving around back here. And let's see. Gyrocopter's still firing, but it looks like our Gracier is still alive, and our reinforcements have managed to catch the first few of their units. Miners are tied up. We got a unit of Slayers tied up as well. Our chariots have charged the remains of those cannons, and we'll be working on the ranged enemies shortly. And then once again, the Clan Rats and the Skaven Slaves and whatever is in this little reinforcement army will be catching whatever they can. Oh, lovely. Ooh, Thunderer's coming in and once again trying to focus poor Garth down. Ah, Satchel charges right into our poor Plague Monks. Damn. That hurts. And this Plague Monk unit is at about 60% HP. But hopefully that unit of Iron Breakers is unable to fire again, as they will continue taking hits from those Plague Claws. We've also summoned a Menace below, to get in the enemy's way and hopefully take damage while we continue our bombardment. Ah, it's so bright. We can see all these units clash. It's glorious. Considering after this turn ends, it'll be the enemy's turn, will most likely not be fighting on those darker ambush maps anymore, which will be quite nice, especially for the big battles that are probably coming up. It's nice to see the Plague Monks get some fun too, especially since they've been in this army for a while, but it's primarily been the other units that have been doing things. And I suppose since we haven't seen Shife's army fight in a while, because it's not part of this ambush turn. Were these Anvil things always floating like this? Huh. Maybe they were. I guess I'm thinking of Thorgrim and I guess Dwarf Lords that get, Rune Lords rather. No, this is a Rune Lord. Thorgrim gets carried on his palanquin, and I don't remember, does Thoric get carried as well? I gotta take another look at these. Anyway, it looks like the enemy's in pretty bad shape. They're still fighting on the front lines, and of course their very elite units are still holding, so they'll take a little bit more work, but it's looking a lot better for us. We've also actually moved in some ranged units from the reinforcement army, specifically 2 Night Runner Slingers and the Gutter Runners with Shurikens, who are going to be focusing these units of gyrocopters. We may not have had any ability to damage them last time, but this time at least we have some units that can. Hopefully they can knock them out of the sky. Lovely. I missed field battles, I gotta say. I do enjoy the ambushes, and frankly, we did need them to whittle down the enemy because, well, frankly, I didn't want to sit around and wait for like 50 sieges to happen. But I did miss field battles, especially because they're bright and visible. And frankly, one of the best parts about this game is watching all the units clash. Alrighty, well, those Slayers are moving back to the front lines, but the balance of power has shifted very much in our favor, and judging by the slivers of HP left on most of the units that are still fighting, I don't see the enemy surviving too much longer. Also, as we can see, all of our artillery have been now focused down on this one single unit of Iron Breakers that is still at full HP. Obviously, those were the Iron Breakers that ran after our chariots and wasted their entire time. Looks like it's down to the wire for a few of our Plague Monks out front, though, but of course, if this is the last army here, we don't actually care nearly as much how damaged we get. Of course, we'll probably want to still move out and fight the Broken Axe, but we'll be in our own territory, so we should heal up anyway. Alrighty, and those Iron Breakers just took a volley from, what, 7 Plague Claws? And there we go. The unit's nearly dead. Our reinforcements are overwhelming the last remnants of the enemy, Slayers and Giant Slayers. I think the main army is shattered as well, and the battle is pretty much ours. And just gotta kill a few more Slayers, though to be fair, the enemy did have a fair few of them in this army. These are the regular and not the giant type. Plus, one of the great things about killing the Slayers is, once again, they are, unlike Ironbreakers, quite vulnerable to things like Clan Rats and Plague Monks and whatnot. And good job helping Chariots. Granted, the Chariots didn't do too much actual fighting, but distracting 3 elite units, I think, was very much worthwhile. Plus, they did manage to get a few charges in at the end there. Good job, guys. I wonder how many kills they got. 13, damage is pretty low by the looks of it, but yeah, considering they didn't fight for basically the entire battle, we shouldn't be surprised by that. And there we go, we end off with a nice little field battle. Oh wow, there's still a unit of Giant Slayers. There's like 1 Giant Slayer, 2, still fighting. The battle can't end until these guys are dead, but I guess our units are chasing other stuff off, so they don't have time to kill the Slayers. Which, fair enough, we don't want to go after this army again. 1 down, and the last gets brought down. And just as an afterthought, essentially. Beautiful. And I believe with that, the battle is actually over. We'll speed up as we try to chase the enemy off. Unfortunately, we can't actually kill the Rune Lord. We don't have anything in this army that can hurt him. The Plague Monks, the Chariots, they chase them from here to here, and he barely dropped to half HP. We'd need a Storm Vermin with Halberds, probably, to actually hurt him with a melee unit. But otherwise, with our lack of ranged and with our lack of monstrous units, there was just no way to chase him down or kill him. Yeah. I guess we should try to maybe put some weapons teams in this army before they attack the Broken Axe. If we encounter Arachnaroks or Giants, this army will have absolutely no answer to them, and that faction certainly does like building those, as we've already seen from Ikit blowing them up many a time. Anyway, with that, the last battle of this episode comes to a close, and the last battle of this particular turn. Lovely. Alrighty, well, it was a very nice way to round out the turn. All the ambushes were perhaps very Skavenly in terms of the type of tactics that we use, but overwhelming the enemy with the sheer numbers of rats is also pretty darn Skavenly, so, you know, pretty happy with both results. You, I guess, no longer need to heal because there's nobody else here. Oh. And well, I guess then we're in our own territory as well. You know what, let's sell them off. Let's get some money. We got some stuff to build. Now, you can't move anymore, but, oh, wait. Attrition? What does the attrition... Oh, I guess mountain territory attrition? Yeah, that's fine. You are going to get a free Blade of Corruption, my friend, and we're actually going to, I guess, put you into March Stance, and then into Carrick Ziflin. Yori... Actually, he has an okay amount of troops remaining, but there's no way he's taking Blackstone Post with that. I suppose if he jumps somewhere, he could, like to Montfort, but I doubt that he could win it. Either way, I think these guys have no choice but to run away. A little bit unfortunate that we had to go into March Stance, because I think in March Stance we can't intercept, so yeah, that'll be an issue, but by the looks of it, Garth should be sufficient to move up here and start taking out the orcs, rather than have Ikit do it. So as soon as Ikit is done with this and possibly with Grom, he's going to move out to deal with all this. Now, I'm obviously going to end this here. We're way out of time, and I've got about 50 years of editing to do after 4 cinematics in one episode. Next time, though, we will finish up whatever admin we have remaining, and then we will end the turn, which will likely mean massive amounts of Karazkarak dwarfs attacking us here with a massive battle, and then, of course, mutants possibly last stand, and, well... I don't know if these guys are going to be brave enough to attack Ikit, but it's a possibility. And then, of course, there's the possibility that Throt gets an ambush going against some of these guys if they decide to jump here and we get an intercept. Or if they go here and they attack this, we might be able to attack them there as well. So, there's lots of potential to go, and of course, as soon as we end the turn, we will have access to our lost legendary lords, which will be fun. To answer a comment in one of the previous episodes, we'll probably build new armies for some of them, like Lord Skrolk maybe, because I kind of just want to send Lord Skrolk straight to Lustria. He's pretty salty about what happened there, but Tretch might just take over one of these armies here, and Deathmaster Stitch definitely needs a brand new army, because we don't really have any army that would be ideal for him, and he's going to want a ton of gutter runners with poison in his army, so we'll need to actually have access to those, which we do not yet have anywhere, though we will relatively shortly have access to them in Skaven Blight. Not quite yet, but because it'll take the hidden layer to be built up, but I guess we can build Snitch here and send him out somewhere as well. And we may even need to, depending on how all this goes. Anyway, as I said, calling it here, massive battles to come in the next episode as the dwarfs get to move, so stay tuned for it. Don't forget to leave a like and comment. All glory to the algorithm. And thanks for watching.